3, 2, 1.
Hi, I am May Butal, one of the reporter of Unit 2 Grammatical categories. At the end of this unit, the student should be able to describe and analyze meaning of various noun and pronoun structures, determine the different forms and function of verbs, distinguish among each of the forms and function of verbs, explain each of the function of verbs, write sentence using correct structures and use of verbs, and relate the use of verbs to daily life's conversation, both spoken and written.
Hello, I am April Rose A. Becas and reporter for today. So let's start. It is a common knowledge that all the things, places, events, people, concepts, and etc. you can think of are nouns. So what is nouns? Nouns refers to names of a person, place, thing, or idea. It often followed by words like a, and the. Nouns should be easy to use. However, nouns have many categories and have a quite lot of ways to identify them in a sentence. For example, man, city, book, and card. There are basically two major types of nouns, the proper and the common nouns. A proper noun refers to specific names of a person, place, thing, or idea, and it is always capitalized no matter where they fall in a sentence. Sometimes it is called proper names. For example, Helen, January, Monday, Japan. While common noun, it is a common name for one item in a class or a group. Same for the example, lady, month, day, and country. Collective nouns, used when referring to a group of people, animals, concepts, ideas, a single entity or things. Example, a bucket of water, a cast of clowns, a choir of singers, a class of students, and many more. Using collective nouns in a sentence is a bit confusing because it is hard to identify whether the collective nouns is in a singular or plural form depending on the context of the sentence. A family can be collective if it talks about more than one person sharing a relationship but families. Its plural form may refer to several families. It can be quite confusing again whether to use plural or singular verbs with collective nouns, whether it points to the group working as individuals or collectively in unison. When a unit is working in unison, a singular verb should be appropriate to use, but when they act separately, it is a must to use the plural verbs and pronouns. For example, a basket of fruit, a shower of rain, a stock of wood. There are also concrete and abstract nouns. So what is concrete noun? Concrete noun refers to points to a physical object such as a cat, a table, or a book. It can be identified through taste, touch, sight, hearing, and or smell. For example of a concrete noun is a girl, books, person, skin, an airplane. However, abstract noun, it is an idea or a concept that does not exist in the real world. An abstract noun cannot be touched, like love, loneliness, or happiness. It cannot be perceived using one of the 5 senses, which is taste, touch, sight, hearing, and smelling. The example of abstract noun is hate, love, sympathy, touch, and seeing. There are also countable and non-countable nouns. Countable nouns are in fact the nouns that can be counted, while non-countable nouns are nouns that cannot be counted. Countable nouns can take an article, a and the. Example, the chair, an apple. That is a countable noun, while water, sugar, oil, salt is a non-countable noun. Compound nouns. A compound noun is composed of two or more words. It is usually combines a noun plus noun or adjective plus noun and many others. Compound nouns act as single units and can be modified by adjectives and other nouns. Compound nouns have three forms: open or space. There is a space between words. For example, credit card. Number 2, hyphenated. There is a hyphen between words. For example, father-in-law. Number 3, close or solid. There is no space or hyphen between words. For example, rainfall. Some examples of compound nouns. Noun plus noun. Football, firefly, high school, while adjective plus noun, blackboard, hot dog, and many other more. Inflection and declension. Inflection is of forming new words by adding a word to the base form. Inflection comes from the Latin word inflector, which means to bend. It is formed when a word is changed or altered to achieve a new specific meaning. Most words inflected are verbs. They change in form to reflect tense, mood, aspect, person, and speech, known as conjugation. In most cases, words or parts of them can be arranged in similar sets consisting of a root or base and affixes. For example, walking, walks, walker do have a common root walk, and the affixes is ing, s, and However, nouns are inflected for number and case only. For example, boys and classes. Noun inflection is called declension. Declension is formed when nouns, pronouns, adjectives, or articles change to indicate numbers or gender. Most nouns don't change, but in some cases they do. Declension tells the gender, noun, and changes the form of accompanying adjectives. Properties of nouns. Properties of nouns. Nouns have three major characteristics: gender, case, and number. Gender refers to names something masculine. Feminine, neutral. Masculine, for example, Duke, Mr. Feminine, Duchess, Mistress. Neuter, table, building, and common, ruler, and cousin. Case is the function of the noun in the sentence as marked by a special ending on the noun. It refers to manner of categorizing nouns, pronouns, adjectives, participles, and numerals according to their traditionally corresponding grammatical functions within a given phrase, clause, or sentence. There are three major noun cases, which is nominative, objective, and possessive. Nominative, subject of a verb, the subject of a verb of a sentence. For example, people seek freedom. Predicate nominative, the noun that completes a linking and mean the same as the subject. For example, the anti-terrorism bill is already a law. Appositive, a noun that explains another noun it follows. For example, Father Randy, our Fred, is a priest. Objective, dative, Indirect object. For example, I bought them a box of donuts. Accusative, a direct object. For example, they like him. Object of a preposition. Example, the bouquet of flowers is from me. While possessive, for singular nouns, add apostrophe and s. For singular possessive. For plural nouns, add only apostrophe. For nouns that do not end with s and apostrophe, add apostrophe and s. For proper nouns ending in s, z, or x, add apostrophe. Of praise is placed after a noun. For example, the nephew of the dean, the son of the CEO. In case of inanimate objects, a prepositional praise of or of praise is used or noun compound. For example, the door of the garage or garage door. For things, places, or concepts, use of praise, for example, a box of candy, a cup of sugar. There are two kinds of number nouns. The first one is singular. Noun refers to one person, place, animal, or thing, or a single referent. For example, she has a sister. While plural noun, the second one, refers to two or more person, places, things, animals, or groups, referent of two or more members. For example, she has three sisters. There are rules in forming the plurality of nouns. The first one, the regular. S ending is attached to most nouns. For example, boy, boys, lily, lilies, pea, pears. Note, countable nouns do form their plural by changing the grammatical endings or the root vowel. To form the plural noun, we follow certain spelling rules. If the noun ends in y, change the y to I, then add es, like party, parties. Final y does not change in family names. For example, the Kennedys. For abbreviations, attach s. For example, several VIPs are arriving for the ceremony. Number 2, es ending is attached to nouns, ending in s, z, dz, t. For example, kisses, bridges, watches, and dishes. It is also attached to nouns ending in o. For example, potatoes, heroes. For some nouns ending in th, f, or s, they undergo voicing of the final consonant in the plural. With th and s, voicing affects pronunciation. The voicing of f affects not only pronunciation, but spelling as well. For example, the merry wives of Windsor. En grammatical ending is attached to several nouns, like ox, oxen, child, children. Number 5. Root vowel change takes place in several nouns. For example, man, men, foot, feet, mouse, and mice. Number 5. Some plural forms of nouns coincide with singular form or zero plurals. For example, series, series, aircraft, aircraft, salmon, sheep, grouse. Many borrowed words retain their foreign plural endings. For example, phenomenon, phenomena, antenna, antennae, poncho, ponchos, hypothesis, hypothesis, genius, genii, temper, and temper. However, many nouns of foreign origin may attach s ending as well. For example, antenna, antennas, TV or radio area. Antenna, and for antennae, it is a long thin part of the insect's head. Invariable nouns. Invariable nouns, it is unaccountable and proper nouns have only one form. Each belonging to these subclasses is either singular or plural. Invariable nouns fall into two groups, which is singular invariables and plural invariables. Singular invariable nouns take singular verbs. For example, concrete uncountable nouns. For example of this is milk and copper. Abstract uncountable nouns. The example of this is anger and safety. Proper nouns. Example of this is Mount Everest and Shakespeare. Some nouns are added with the suffix s is news, linguistics, and Wales. Substantivized words referring to abstract notions. For example, the picture's key. Plural invariable nouns take plural verbs. Objects made of two similar parts. Proper collective nouns, for example, people, police, and cattle. Some nouns derived by means of the suffix s is, for example, goods, things, looks. Then proper nouns in s, for example, Niagara Falls. Substantivized words referring to people is, for example, the blind, the disabled.
Nouns of differential plural. The plural form of some countable nouns has developed additional meanings altogether different from the meanings of the singular form. For example, arm, an upper limb of the human body. Arms, weapon. S can mark the plural at the same time, acquire a word, formative function, customs, colors. Some uncountable nouns have developed meanings different from the basic ones. Such meanings are marked by the plural form. For example, morals, rules of conduct. So I have here some nouns have different forms of plural which bear different meanings. So in singular, I have here brother. So in plural, brothers. By birth, Britain of a society. So other example, in singular, I have here die. In plural, dice. In singular, fish. So in plural, fishes.
Pronoun. Pronoun is a word that used instead of noun or noun phrase. In pronoun, there are 10 types. First is personal pronouns. Personal pronouns are associated primarily with a particular grammatical person. Example of personal pronoun include I, we, it, they, you, and she. Second, reflexive and intensive pronoun. The intensive or reflexive pronouns include myself, yourself, himself, herself, itself, ourselves, yourselves, themselves. Furthermore, an intensive pronoun is defined as a pronoun that ends in yes, very good, self. Self or selves, and places emphasis on its antecedent. Example, I cut myself when I was making dinner last night. Intensive emphatic pronoun. We use the intensive pronoun in a sentence to refer back to the noun, which is the subject of the sentence, in order to emphasize it. For this reason, the intensive pronoun is also called emphatic pronoun. The intensive pronoun comes immediately after the noun or antecedent as it is known. Example, I will build the house myself. Fourth is demonstrative pronoun. Demonstrative pronoun is show point or exhibit. These are this, that, this, those. For example, These are the items I brought spending 3 hours in the grocery. So where is the demonstrative pronouns there? The, this. So the number 5 type of pronoun is the indefinite pronoun. Indefinite pronoun do not refer to any person or thing specifically, like few, some, all, or none. Example, only few committed to attend the online meeting. The 6th type of pronoun is interrogative pronoun. So, interrogative pronoun are used to make question. These are who, whose, what, which. For example, who were lucky enough to hit the jackpot? So where is the interrogative pronoun there? The who. Who. The 7th type of pronoun is distributive pronoun. So distributive pronoun is denote person or things of group separately, that is why they also become singular and followed by the singular verbs. They can be neither, either, each, everyone, any, none, no one, or no one. Example, each student has no purchase and a cross card to the Millennium Ball. 8th type of pronoun, the reciprocal pronoun. So reciprocal pronoun, these are the pronoun which express mutual or reciprocated relationship, such as each other and one another. When you want to refer to two people, most likely you use each other. When you refer to more than two people, you will likely use one another. Example, we gave each other a hug after winning the dance competition. The students were excited to see one another after the summer break. The 9th type of pronoun is relative pronoun. So relative pronoun which join to clause and relate or refer back to their antecedent. These are who, which, that, what, as, but. Example, the man who claimed he can stop and calamity was mocked by the people. Possessive pronoun is the last type of pronoun. Possessive pronoun is showing possession or ownership, such as her, his, their, my, our, and their. For example, her health is her greatest wealth.
By the way, my name is Cristine L. Bahian. Topic is all about adjective and verb. Adjective is describe a noun or pronoun. For example, that boy is so loud. Adverbs describe a verb or anything apart from a noun and pronoun. For example, that boy speaks so loudly. The role of adjective as modifier of noun and pronouns, and other adjectives will look into different types of classes or adjective. Coordinate adjectives. These are small group of adjectives used to describe some attributes of the same noun or subject. They are separated by common to avoid confusing the adjective as singular modifier and not a coordinate pair. For example, she wore a blue and white blouse yesterday. Demonstrative adjectives refers to the which noun or pronoun. You are speaking about a demonstrative adjectives come before all other adjectives in the noun phrase. Some of the common demonstrative adjectives are this, that, this, those. For example, would you like these shoes? Number 3. Descriptive adjective. These adjectives generally modify a noun. They give the noun a quality or attribute, I, a, and good sun. The majestic mountain. For example, he hurt her feelings when he called her lying beach. Disrepute adjective. This adjective point out specific entities and single out a particular noun or pronoun in order to modify or draw attention to it. Some of their adjectives are any, each, either, every, neither. They stand before the noun they modify. For example, I don't like to hear any news about COVID-19. Number 5. Indefinite adjective. Indefinite adjectives point to noun-specific items. They are similar to indefinite articles. Some of these are any, few, many, no, and several. For example, I don't like to hear any complaints from you. Interrogative adjective. Interrogative adjectives pose a question and need a noun or pronoun by their side. Some of these are what, which, and whose. Example, what brand do you prepare for a laptop? 7. Possessive adjective. Show of these adjectives are his, her, my, our, their, and your. They come before their corresponding nouns. For example, it's that their house. Number 8. Predicate adjective. They come after a linking verb. This linking verb am, is, are, was, were, and etc. For example, she is intelligent. Number 9. Proper adjective. These adjectives are capitalized, derived from proper nouns. For example, I love Korean cuisine. Quantitative adjective. Numeral adjective. Cardinal adjective. These describe the quantity of something. They answer the question, how much? Numbers 0 through 9 must be written in words, while for anything 10 and above, numeral must be used. Example, she has 4 siblings. Number 11. Sequence adjective. Sequence adjectives are similar to quantitative adjective. They are also called ordinal adjective. Example, this is my third take for the licensure examination. Number 12. Articles as adjectives. Articles such as a and the act as adjectives. They stand beside their nouns. Example, she is the daughter of the president. Comparison of adjectives is an adjective often describe the degree of modification. These forms are positive, comparative, and superlative. This body is tall, positive. That girl is taller, comparative. The last boy in the row in the tallest is superlative. Letter A. Positive degree. is used to describe one item, person, or group. Example, the lady is white is beautiful. Letter B. Comparative degrees describe two items, people, or groups. Use of comparative adjectives, often the comparative adjective is followed by than. Example, he is taller than John. C. Superlative degree. Describe three or more items, group, or people. Example, Benito has the highest grade in the class. Superlative adjectives are formed by adding s to an adjective. When forming superlative adjectives, a few basic spelling rules must be followed. One-syllable words. Add s to the words as in largest and tallest. Sometimes it requires you to double the final letters of the original adjective as in saddest. One and two syllables words ending in the silent add s to the words. Example, nearest, finest, and sanest. Two-syllable words ending in the letter Y. Change the Y to an I and add S for example, silence and courteous. All other two syllables words and words by additional syllable. These words are made into a short. Example, most careful, less restrictive. Order of adjectives, cumulative adjective. Placement, type of adjective, example. Number 1. Article, demonstrative determiner or possessive determiner. Example, a, on, the, this, that, those, this, my, your, his, our. Number 2. Quantity. Ones, 3, 99. Number 3. Opinion or observation. Beautiful, clever. Number 4. Size. Big, medium size, small. Number 5. Physical quantity. Then, clumpy, cluttered. Number 6. Shape. Example, square, round, long. Number 7. Age. Young, middle-aged, old. Number 8. Color. Red, blue, purple. Number 9. Origin or religion. French, Buddhist. Number 10. Material. Metal, leather, wooden. Number 11. Type. One shape, two-sided, all-purpose. Number 12. Purpose or attributive noun. Mixing, drinking, cooking service, football, head.
I will be discussing about verbs. Verbs. Verb is a very important part of speech. It is a very important part in the use of English language. In everyday conversation or communication we do, we always use verbs. Without verbs, a sentence is incomplete. Verbs tell what the subject does in a sentence. It may be an action or non-action, or it could be simply be a connector between a subject and a word that gives information about subjects such as a condition or a relationship. Classes of verb. Action verbs are classified into 3: transitive, intransitive, and modal verbs, which are called helping verbs and auxiliary verbs. Action verbs. Transitive verbs direct action to anything named in a sentence. It always has a direct object. Intransitive verbs, however, do not have a direct objects. They often identified as those that can't be followed by whom or what. Observe the sentence below. The statistics of the virus case drops quickly. This sentence does not have an object and the action is not directed toward anyone or anything. Modal verbs. Modal verbs are special verbs which are called helping verbs. They are added to another verb to make a single verb phrase. Examples: shall, should, will, would, can, could, may, might, must. Linking verbs. Linking verbs are words used in a sentence that do not show action. They help one word in a sentence name or describe the condition of another word in a sentence. Linking verb serves as connection between a subject and further information about the subject. The verb be is considered as the most common linking verb. Example: can be, could be, am being, is being, might be, must be, will be, and would be. Properties of verbs. There are 5 properties of verbs. Active and passive voice. Voice is the form of a verb which would show when a subject in the sentence is doing an action or not. An action verb with a direct object or what direct object can be in the active voice. A verb is passive when the subject in the sentence receives the action. Example: active: Dennis took the sample kits. Passive: the sample kits were taken by Dennis. Mood. Indicative mood is a verb form that expresses a statement or asks a question. Example: nurses help the patients in the hospital. Imperative mood shows a command or request. Example: please help the patients. Subjunctive mood shows wish or doubt. Example: I wish that Jose helped the patients. Tense. Verbs have many forms called tenses. It tells when an action takes place and shows who is performing an action. There are 3 main verb tenses: the past, present, and future. These are then divided into 4 parts: simple, progressive, perfect, and perfect progressive. Example of simple present tense: Cora runs. Simple past tense: Cora run. Simple future tense: Cora will run. Progressive present tense: Cora is running. Progressive past tense: Cora was running. Progressive future tense: Cora will be running. Perfect present tense: Cora has run. Perfect past tense: Cora had run. Perfect future tense: Cora will have run. Perfect progressive present tense: Cora has been running. Perfect progressive past tense: Cora had been running. Perfect progressive future tense: Cora will have been running. Number 4. Person is a verb property which indicates who is acting. Example: I beat the virus. Number 5. Number refers to whether a word is in the singular or plural form. This specifies if the subject is singular 1 or plural more than 1.